Should I sell to a cash buyer or fix up my home and list it with a realtor?
It depends on if the person's trying to just get a quick sale and be done with the property, or you can list it on the market and go through the conventional way of selling it. You just have many more hoops to go through, and it's a little bit more complicated.
If I was selling a house that was full of stuff like this in Buffalo, do I have to clean it out first before I sell it to you guys?
Look, this is no problem. The
Yeah.
dirtier, the messier, the better.
And in all honesty, the amount of time that it would take an average homeowner to clean this out, don't do it. Call the experts. Let us come in and I mean, this is quick work. This will be cleaned out in a day, right? Not
Absolutely,
a day or two.
couple days.
Yeah,
We
day
got
or
a
two.
driveway here, so we'll be able to fit a dumpster.
Right. Yep. There you
That's
go.
a big bonus. Buffalo, Amherst, Cheektowaga, Niagara Falls, Depew, Hamburg, Orchard Park.
Yeah. Erie and
Leave
Niagara
them messy
County.
and dirty.
How do I know if a cash home buyer is legit?
Oh, very good question. So I mean, reputation is everything. You know, one really easy way is a proof of funds. It sounds kind of simple, but you know, as a seller, if I'm going to sell my house to somebody for $100,000, do you have $100,000 to buy the house? And a legitimate cash buyer who's out here doing, you know, a few transactions a month like we are, we have that. So yeah, I mean, asking for a proof of funds is a really easy way. Asking a real estate attorney to review a contract, asking around, you know, good legitimate cash buyers are also doing some level of marketing, because there's a lot of cash, you know, quote unquote cash buyers who are out there making you an offer, but they don't have the means or ability to execute. They're going to try and string something together in the background and drag you along the way as the seller. So they're not legitimate. So again, you want to look for somebody who's going to put a clean, legitimate New York State contract together with a proof of funds and kind of a track record to show that they're doing transactions.
What is the difference between a cosmetic flip and a complete renovation?
We are standing in an area that you could say was just a cosmetic renovation. Walls have been painted, ceilings been painted, put some paint on the trim. This would be a good example of just a cosmetic surface renovation. On a complete renovation, what you're going to do is you're going to open up the walls, you're going to rip out the flooring, you're going to put in new plumbing, electric, completely update your kitchen and bathroom. Where a cosmetic is just coming in, you're putting some paint on the wall, you might update it with some carpet, some flooring, clean the place up, and you're kind of just doing the bare minimal surface level type of renovation. Where a full renovation, you are completely updating the electrical, the plumbing, your kitchen and bathroom. Maybe you're doing a new roof too.
If I buy a flipped house, how can I tell if the renovations are done properly?
Good question. And I totally understand that question. You know, house flippers can sometimes have a stigma, but a lot of times that stigma is misplaced. A buyer, when they go to buy the property, they're going to have a couple checks. They're going to have a third-party home inspection and a bank appraisal. So those are both third parties that are going to be assessing and evaluating, inspecting the property to make sure that everything's done correctly. They're going to look in the basement. Let's walk down in the basement. The home inspector is going to be looking at the electrical panel to make sure that was wired and installed correctly. They're going to be looking at the mechanical systems like hot water heaters and furnaces. They're going to be looking at basement walls to make sure that there's no cracks or bowing and there wasn't like a Band-Aid or something trying to be hidden there. They're going to be looking at, you know, the structure, the joists, the plumbing. Is there obvious water? Are things being hidden? So again, your home inspection is the biggest way that you're going to know that work was done correctly. Your third-party home inspector is going to look at everything. You also have a bank appraisal. The bank's appraiser is going to come in and make sure that everything looks legitimate, because the bank wants to make sure that their asset is good. And you can also check that permits were pulled on the project. You know, those are all on file with the city. You know, we pull permits on every project that we do. And so you can see that the permits were pulled. A building inspector was in watching the project be done and done correctly. So yeah, lots of checks and balances that homeowners can feel really confident that even if their house was a renovation or a flip, it was done correctly.
How do cash buyers actually calculate their offer?
That's a really good question. That's a conversation I have every day. So our process it's pretty simple, and the way we do it is pretty simple. You know, we'll walk the house, we'll run our numbers like a real estate agent or an appraiser would and come up with an after repair value. So we're going to look at 6 houses that sold in the last 6 months that are comps, same number of beds, same number of bathrooms, similar square footage. So that's our, average those things out. That's your after repair value. Then what are our repairs? What do we have to put into it? We're used to walking these, so we know we're looking at things like the roof, the basement, the kitchens, the bathrooms, the mechanicals, furnace, electrical panel, the basement walls, the floors. All these things we're gonna sum up a construction budget. So what do we have to put into the house? And then we're gonna subtract those two things out. After repair value minus all the repair costs that have to go into it, and then that's the offer to you. So pretty simple.
How do you properly evaluate the repairs that need to be done on a property like this that's just completely buried?
I mean, my first thought is like, you got to expect the worst. When we give an offer like this, you can't really evaluate the whole entire situation. So you got to just expect the worst. And
Yeah, I think you have to assume it's just a full massive cosmetic rehab. I mean, the fortunate thing is like you can see some of the big stuff. You can see the roof.
yeah,
I just saw the boilers relatively new. So some of the big mechanicals, even when it's packed with stuff, you can see. And then yeah, you just assume it's going to be a full on everything touched cosmetic rehab, right?
and a lot of times, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, is the hoarding, the contents in the house. At the end of the day, it's not a big deal.
Right. Exactly.
It's just you
Yeah.
can't see anything.
Right. The clean outs are not a massive lift for us to do now.
What improvements were made to this property that a buyer could not immediately see?
As you know, in Buffalo, Cheektowaga, Amherst, the general surrounding area, the homeowner is responsible for the water line underground that goes from the house to the street, water and sewer. So between the both of those, we have about $10,000 in upgraded water and sewer line that you will receive when you purchase this house, because we've replaced the main sewer line and the water line coming to the house. It's under the ground. You wouldn't see it. So all you would ask for is a copy of the paperwork when it was done, the permit that was pulled. That type of repair you would not be able to see on the surface.
If I'm selling my house in Buffalo, should I sell it to a cash buyer or should I fix it up myself and list it with the realtor?
It's a good question. What's your primary goal? The value that we can provide is predictable price. We give you an offer and that's the offer. There's no sliding scale. There's no inspections going to impact that price. So you got a predictable price. You got a very predictable closing timeline. We can close in 30 days. There's no inspections. There's no commissions. And so there's just a real ease. There's a simplicity and a predictability to our process. We'll take it as is. One of the variables that I would ask question, how big are the repairs? Are they big? Are they small? Do you have a roof? Do you have a basement? Big, bones of the house need to be repaired, or do you have light cosmetics? Our offer process is going to factor in, what's the after repair value minus what are the repairs that we're going to make. So yeah, it all depends on the individual and what their goals are. But what we can really offer again is that simplicity, predictability. And if you as an individual want to save yourself the headache of doing a massive renovation in your house, save yourself the unpredictability of listing on the market with an agent where it may sit for weeks, it may sit for a month. You may get a home inspection that asks for a bunch of repairs. You may get a buyer asking for a bunch of repairs. Tons of unpredictability in that process. We may be a better option than having to go through that headache, what I would describe as a headache.
Hey guys, can you sell a fire damaged home as is in Buffalo?
Absolutely, you can. You can call Queen City Buyers, and we will come out, check out the property. You don't have to do a thing. You don't need to clean out anything. You don't need to fix anything. Your best option when you have a fire, I think, is usually to go to like a cash buy company that has a reputation. You can look them up online.
Yep.
Call that company. Ask, tell them to come out, give you an offer. Call it a couple different companies, so you got, a couple different opinions.
Yeah, we're in one now.
How did this neighborhood affect your renovation choices?
So it definitely did. Every neighborhood affects all of our renovation choices. When we're analyzing a deal and we're first looking at a property for acquisition, we always look at the neighborhood. What's the level of fit and finish for the comparable houses that are selling? Is it really nice? Is it A? Is it B? Is it an emerging or transitioning neighborhood? This particular neighborhood, we're on a really nice street in 14215 on Proctor Ave, and the comparable houses over here are selling with nice features. They've typically got fairly updated kitchens. They've got fairly updated bathrooms. The exteriors have nice curb appeal. You see a lot of brick houses. So for that reason, when we were analyzing the deal and scoping out our renovation, what's the project going to look like when we're done? We absolutely looked at the rest of the neighborhood, and we saw houses that I would consider to be B plus to A grade houses. So we decided to come in and do a B plus to A grade renovation. And you can see that, right? Brand new floors, got a nice chandelier, good fixtures. We've done kitchens and bathrooms with backsplash and granite. And again, because the neighborhood mandated that. In an emerging neighborhood, that's maybe you've got like B minus C grade houses, what I would consider to be B minus C grade houses. You may not necessarily need to do that. And if you do, you may be pricing yourself out of the market.